The first time I saw her, she was sitting alone by the edge of a sparkling blue pool, staring into the water as if it held answers no one else could give. I remember because most homeowners barely noticed me. I was just the pool guy. The man who arrived every Thursday morning with a toolbox, a skimmer net, and enough chlorine to keep the water crystal clear. But she noticed me, not in the way people usually notice service workers, not as someone they needed something from, not as someone invisible. She noticed me as a person, and neither of us knew that one simple act of kindness would change both our lives forever. My name is Jake Turner, and for 12 years I had been cleaning and repairing swimming pools across Southern California. It wasn't glamorous work. The sun burned my neck, my hands were rough, my truck had over 300,000 miles on it, but it paid the bills. Most days, I drove from house to house, fixing pumps, balancing chemicals, and making sure wealthy families could enjoy their perfect backyard paradise. A few years earlier, my wife had passed away after a long battle with cancer. After that, work became my escape. The routine kept me moving, kept me breathing, kept me from sitting alone in a quiet house with memories that hurt too much. One Thursday morning, I received a new client assignment, a property in Laguna Beach. Large house, ocean view, weekly maintenance, nothing unusual. At least that's what I thought. When I arrived, I found her sitting beside the pool. She looked to be in her early 40s, beautiful, but exhausted, like someone carrying a weight nobody else could see. I introduced myself. Morning. I'm Jake, here to take care of the pool. She smiled politely. I'm Emily. Just Emily. No fancy introduction. No mention of what she did for a living. No mention that the house was probably worth more than everything I owned combined. As I worked, I noticed she stayed outside. Most clients went back inside. Emily didn't. She sat quietly with a cup of coffee, watching the ocean, watching the waves, watching nothing at all. Before I left, she thanked me. Not the casual thanks people say automatically. A genuine thank you. The kind that made you feel appreciated. The following week, I returned. Again, she was outside. Again, she thanked me. And little by little, a routine formed. We'd talk for a few minutes, nothing serious. Weather, sports, the traffic, the dog that kept stealing tennis balls from neighboring yards. Simple conversations, but they became something I looked forward to. Then one Thursday, I noticed she seemed different. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. I didn't ask. People have their privacy. Still, before leaving, I stopped beside the patio. You okay? She laughed softly. Number. I nodded. Want to talk about it? For a moment, she looked surprised. Then she shook her head. Not today. Fair enough. I started walking away. Then she spoke. Thank you for asking. I turned back. What are neighbors for? She smiled. You don't even live here. Close enough. That was the first real smile I'd seen from her. Weeks passed. Summer arrived. Our conversations grew longer. I learned she worked remotely. I learned she loved old movies. I learned she volunteered at a local animal shelter. What I didn't know was why sadness seemed to follow her everywhere. Then one afternoon, I found out. I was repairing a filter when I heard raised voices coming from inside the house. A man's voice. Angry. Demanding. I wasn't trying to listen, but it was impossible not to hear. A few minutes later, the front door slammed. A black SUV sped away. Emily emerged onto the patio. Her face pale, her hands shaking. Everything okay? I asked. She looked toward the road. My ex. The word carried years of pain. I didn't ask questions. Instead, I grabbed a bottle of water from my cooler. Here. She accepted it. Thank you. We sat quietly. Finally she spoke. He cheated. I listened. He lied. I listened. He took years of my life. I listened. Sometimes that's the greatest kindness you can offer another person. Not advice. Not solutions. Just your presence. When she finished, tears filled her eyes. I'm sorry. You probably didn't sign up for therapy sessions when you started cleaning my pool. I chuckled. No extra charge. For the first time in months, she laughed. A real laugh. And somehow, that felt better than fixing any pool I'd ever worked on. Over the next several months, Our friendship deepened. Nothing romantic, not yet. Just two people carrying old wounds. Two people helping each other heal. She'd leave cold drinks waiting for me during hot days. I'd help her move patio furniture before storms. When her elderly neighbor needed groceries, we delivered them together. When a local family lost their home in a fire, we organized donations. The more time I spent around Emily, the more I realized something important. She wasn't kind because life had been easy. She was kind despite everything she'd been through, and that made her extraordinary. One evening, after finishing work, I was loading equipment into my truck when she walks over. She looked nervous. That alone caught my attention. Emily was normally confident, strong, composed. "Jake, yeah? Can I ask you something?" "Sure." She hesitated, then smiled. "Would you like to have dinner with me?" For a second, I thought I'd misunderstood. "Dinner?" She nodded. "An actual dinner, not pool maintenance." I laughed. "You sure?" "Very." My heart did something it hadn't done in years. It felt hopeful. "I'd love to." Her smile lit up the entire evening. Neither of us noticed the black SUV parked down the street, or the man sitting behind the wheel, watching, waiting, her ex-husband. The dinner was perfect. Not because of the restaurant, not because of the food, because of the conversation. Hours passed like minutes. We talked about dreams, regrets, family, second chances. For the first time since losing my wife, I felt something opening inside me, a door I thought had closed forever. When I dropped Emily home, she hugged me. A simple hug, yet somehow it felt life-changing. Unfortunately, someone else saw it too. The next morning, trouble arrived. I was cleaning another client's pool when a black SUV pulled into the driveway. The driver stepped out, tall, expensive suit, angry expression. "I need a word." I knew immediately. The ex. He walked closer. "Stay away from Emily." I remained calm. "I don't think that's your decision." His face darkened. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." "Maybe not. I can make your life difficult." I looked at him quietly. For years I'd faced grief, loss, and heartbreak. Threats didn't scare me much anymore. Then make it difficult. That answer seemed to shock him. Most people probably back down. I didn't. Because this wasn't about pride. It was about respect. Emily wasn't property. She wasn't a possession. She wasn't something he could control. He left furious. But the damage wasn't over. Over the following weeks, mysterious complaints were filed against my business. Fake reviews appeared online. Several clients suddenly cancelled service. Someone was clearly trying to hurt me financially, and I knew exactly who. The situation became stressful. Bills piled up. Work slowed. Yet every time I considered giving up, Emily stood beside me. She helped document everything, encouraged me, supported me, not with money, with belief. Sometimes belief is worth far more. Then came the turning point. One of my longtime clients happened to be an attorney. After hearing everything, he volunteered to investigate. The evidence was overwhelming. The fake reviews, the harassment, the threats. Everything led back to Emily's ex. Within weeks, legal action followed. The truth came out. His reputation suffered. His business partners distanced themselves. And suddenly the man who thought he could control everyone discovered he wasn't as powerful as he believed. The day everything finally ended, Emily and I sat beside the pool where we'd first met. The sunset painted the water gold. Neither of us spoke for several minutes. Then she looked at me. "You know what saved me?" I shook my head. "You treated me like a person." I smiled. "That's a pretty low bar." "Number." Her voice cracked slightly. "You have no idea how rare that is." I thought about all the Thursdays, all the conversations, all the little moments. The kindnesses neither of us considered extraordinary. And maybe that's the lesson. Life doesn't always change because of grand gestures. Sometimes it changes because someone asks if you're okay, because someone listens, because someone stays. A year later, we hosted a community fundraiser for families facing hardship. Hundreds attended. Neighbors, friends, volunteers, people helping people. As the event ended, Emily stood beside me. Her hand found mine, and for the first time in a very long time, I looked toward the future without fear, not because every problem had disappeared, not because life had become perfect, but because I had learned something powerful. Kindness has a way of finding its way back to you. Maybe not immediately, maybe not in the form you expect, but eventually. A pool repairman offered a little compassion to a woman carrying invisible pain. A woman offered friendship to a man grieving unimaginable loss. Together, they reminded each other that broken hearts can heal, that second chances are real, and that sometimes the person who changes your life arrives carrying nothing more than a toolbox, a warm smile, and the simple courage to care. And in a world that often feels divided, rushed, and indifferent, that kind of humanity remains the most valuable gift of all.